The next one strongest tendon, which is I am going to deal. This is also asked commonly in the short notes. So short notes, whatever you have to remember, even I have told in the last lecture, briefly covered. But what are the important points you should add and remember about the Tendocalcaneus? So here you have to remember, this is the one back of leg region. Back of leg region we call as the calf muscles. Then soleus we have dealt one of the major muscle in the back of leg, and that is we call as a peripheral heart. So next, which is you get the most superficially on the medial side, we have the medial head of Gastrocnemius, lateral side, lateral head of Gastrocnemius. So tendons of the muscle, which is you have to remember, medial head, lateral head of Gastrocnemius and Soleus. They are inserting at the calcaneus. So word itself, it gives you the idea of the Tendocalcaneus, or we are going to call as a tendon which is there, that is the strongest tendon which is there on the back of leg, and that we are going to call as a Tendocalcaneus. Name itself gives you tendon of the muscle of the soleus and gastrocnemius. So here you have to remember, most important, back of leg muscle is asked means you have to write including plantaris. When it is asked about the Tendocalcaneus, you have to remember about the muscles of the back of leg, that is the medial head of Gastrocnemius, lateral head of Gastrocnemius and Soleus. So these muscles origin you know, as you get the medial head of Gastrocnemius is originating from it is the medial side of the popliteal surface of the medial supracondylar line of the femur, and lateral, it is the popliteal surface of the lateral supracondylar line of the femur. Then that is inserting on the calcaneus bone. Soleus you have come across. Soleus is originating from the soleal line of the tibia and posterior surface of the upper 1/4 of the, that is a fibula. So tibia and fibula, soleus arising and inserting, making the common tendon. See, you can differentiate here the gastrocnemius tendon until further lower part is covered by the soleus muscle. So lower we have few more fibers which are runs downwards, that is the soleus, and above tendon which is made expanded, and that is we call it the gastrocnemius. So these two muscles, gastrocnemius and soleus muscle, they make a common tendon at the near the lower part going for the insertion, that is to the calcaneus, posterior part of the calcaneus. So this tendon is we call as a Tendocalcaneus, or insertion to the calcaneus bone, and tendon of the soleus and gastrocnemius forming the Tendocalcaneus. So I have told this is very important, as you get the muscle fibers which you can see when you see this all tendon making insertion on the, we are going to get the middle 1/3 of the posterior surface of the calcaneum. All these muscles origin I have told, medial head of Gastrocnemius, lateral head of Gastrocnemius, and common insertion of Tendocalcaneus, where in the calcaneus bone you have to remember the middle 1/3 of the posterior surface of the calcaneus. Posteriorly, going back posterior surface of the calcaneus, and we are going to have the medial and lateral head. So when we cut the medial and lateral head, we are going to get the total soleus muscle is exposed here. Soleus muscle, and we are going to get how it is covered. Soleus muscle is important, as gastrocnemius running upward superficially, then below that is the soleus, and this is the expansion of the tendon becoming, it is a till lower it is expanded or runs, so that then it is forms the common tendon, and this is common tendon from the insertion calcaneus to the lower part of the leg. This is about the 15 centimeters or 6 inches. We are going to get the tendon. This is all over the muscle belly of the soleus and gastrocnemius, and we are talking about the Tendocalcaneus, means you have to tell about the tendon. So tendon is formed, that is about the total, that is we have the 15 centimeter or the 6 inches. So this thickest tendon, that is the strongest tendon of the body. So Tendocalcaneus is the thickest and strongest tendon of the body. That you have to remember. Then you have to tell this tendon, which is formation, how it is formed, what is the length, why we are going to call it the strongest, because this tendon is there means it is helps for the running, walking and jumping. If this strongest tendon we call because it is the helping the running also. So body you have to lift and run. So that whatever this is all in the foot movements. So if it is cut, you cannot run, you cannot get up. So it is a very, even though it is some defects in this tendon that may cause the imbalance or that is no proper walking. So that this is the strongest tendon which is in our body, because other all tendons are very thin and we are going to get not this much thicker one and strongest tendon. So that this is you have to remember about the Tendocalcaneus. Then I have told the one story as the Tendo Achilles. So according to I have told the Greek legend, we have the Indian legends, Ramayana, Mahabharata, like we have the Greek legend. Very important few points of this you have to remember. Achilles was a great warrior. I am talking about the why Tendocalcaneus is called as a Tendo Achilles. This is the next question is asked. And that is you have to explain the story which is I am going to tell, and few words are very important, you cannot make the changes. So I have told according to the Greek legend, Achilles was a great and invincible warrior, irresistible. So irresistible, invincible warrior means he was a very great warrior. So his mother was a sea goddess. So sea goddess, she wanted to protect son. She holded one leg, only one leg holding at the Tendocalcaneus, and she dipped under that is the underground Styx water. STYX, that is the underground Styx water, as she was a sea goddess. So whatever one leg she holded and dipped under the underground Styx water, whatever water flowed on the body is no weapon can harm him. But whatever the unprotected part is remains where one leg she holded, that is not flowed by the water, underground Styx water. And ultimately this great warrior died in the war of Trojan. That time, why he died? Because arrow hitting on the heel or the Tendocalcaneus. This tendon was cut. So he cannot stand, he cannot run. In the war you have to stand and run. But if it is a Tendocalcaneus is cut, you cannot walk, you cannot stand. So that he caught and arrow hitting on here, he died. So this was the history you have to tell in the Tendocalcaneus. So Tendocalcaneus, why it is called as Tendo Achilles, you have to tell few words you have to remember about this. This is you have to tell Tendocalcaneus is the strongest tendon and it is the thickest tendon of the body, 15 inches in length. Then next you have to tell this is called as a Tendo Achilles. So according to the Greek legend, we are going to have the Achilles was a great, irresistible, invincible warrior. Irresistible, invincible warrior. So that ultimately he was a son of sea goddess, and she wanted to protect her son. She made that is holding at one leg at the Tendocalcaneus level, at the ankle level. She dipped under the specific water, that is she is a sea goddess. So under that water she dipped means all the body will like metal like, no weapon can harm. But whatever the unprotected part remain is a holded part. So that holded only one leg, that unprotected part. Finally this Achilles was died in the war of Trojan and arrow hitting on the heel region. So these are you have to tell about the specific points of the Tendocalcaneus and Tendo Achilles. The next, which is you are going to get the one more muscle, that is I have told Plantaris. So one more small question in the oral it is asked commonly. Tell me about the plantaris. Explain the plantaris muscle. So you have to tell this is one of the vestigious muscle of the body. It is present at the included at the back of leg or the calf muscle, and this is having the small belly and long tendon. So this is inserted at the, that is the calcaneus medial to the tendocalcaneus. So this is a medial to the tendocalcaneus. It is inserted plantaris. So you have come across the origin of the lower part of the lateral supracondylar line of the femur. Laterally, lateral supracondylar of the femur, origin point of the plantaris. Then we are going to get the insertion at the medial to the tendocalcaneus at the calcaneus bone. It is having the small belly and long tendon. So how it is, see, lateral to coming and to the medial side, crossing. And this is a long tendon, green, which is shown here. So this muscle is very important for the tendoplasty. Vestigious muscle, this long tendon is used for the tendoplasty. As this muscle is a very small belly, long tendon it is having. Origin insertion, you have to tell the lateral supracondylar line of femur and the medial to the tendocalcaneus. Calcaneus bone, it is an insertion. So this is about the, you have to tell about tendocalcaneus and Tendo Achilles, why it is called. You have to tell the origin insertion of soleus and gastrocnemius. Then also you have to explain the why plantaris is a vestigious muscle and used for what. Tendoplasty is where it is used, that is you have to remember. So these are the things you have to remember about in the lecture. So